In this game, everything is out to get you. That's it, that's the intro.
That's the intro. In this game, you play different stalkers, and stalkers are people that want to get money. And the most money you can get going into places where there's tons of radiation and picking up some things, shooting some things, and essentially doing missions. And the whole setting of the game is based on the video game Stalker. If you have not played the video game, then it's in Chernobyl, right?
It is Ukraine. It happened after the incident where the nuclear reactor blew up, and
now these creatures are running around.
Giant rats, zombies, anomalies that will interfere with you trying to complete your missions.
All of this danger just means more money for you. To earn this money, you will get prepared. And then when you feel ready and prepared, you will go into missions like this one.
Each session is divided into 2 parts. There's the story part, prep part, and then there's the actual game that happens on this board. And why am I explaining it so complicated? No. Can I go back and start over?
No. Let's leave this awkward part hidden. You will go through this map, select different spaces and places, meet new people that you will add to your stash, as well as get new equipment that you will also add to the stash. And when you're ready or out of actions, you will go to the mission phase and use all the stash to equip yourself.
So you prep, and then you go and do things. Prep, and then you go and do things. Prep, and then you go and do things.
The things that you could do is, well, move and shoot.
Your average dungeon crawler. You've played the dungeon crawler, you know what's gonna happen. You haven't played the dungeon crawler, we'll tell you.
Then you shoot and move. Yeah. And you can do everything by these 2 sliders right here.
Except look at those camera when I'm doing something stupid.
So you look at that camera all the time? Yeah. Well, he keeps looking at the camera. I'll explain to you that you have these sliders, and whenever you do an action, you slide it downwards 1 space, and then again. And that's your turn. You did 2 actions, and these actions can be moving. One of those actions might be shooting at opponents based on the weapon that you are wielding. It might be searching for an artifact. It might be throwing screws at the anomalies so to be safer when you
or to make noise somewhere else, and the enemy goes, I think it's there. Let's go check it out.
And you can move slower and more careful not to leave as much noise. There's also anomalies on the board, which will kill you.
Or mess with your turns, big time.
But you can find artifacts inside them, so you obviously want to go there because of, well, money.
So each player will do their actions, then when all the players done with actions, enemies will move. Enemies react to the noise that we've made, and they will go towards the noise. If they see you during your turn, they will also shoot at you, or bite you, or scratch you, or punch you. There are a ton of different enemies that act different ways.
In each mission you will have objectives that you will have to finish and most likely get out. If you fulfill that, you will win the scenario, get the rewards. If not, you will die, you will get some event card or something that says that you're bad at the game and try again.
Well... And this is a campaign game, which is divided into groups of little campaigns of 3 missions.
You will get each time this box and then open it up, and there will be secrets just for this mission that will set up the map, add new cards and different other secrets. We're gonna talk about that and a lot of other questions in this video, so we should jump to the first question, which is...
What are the 3 best things about this game? We're reviewing just the base game of the game, but we do have the minis for monsters as replacements. The base game normally comes with standees, which in no way retracts from the fun of this game.
Doesn't change much, but it's cool to have minis.
Of course, it's always cool to have minis. My 3rd best thing about this game is going to be difficulty. A single monster attack will pretty much so wipe you out. Well, depends on the monster. Here, you want to be sure that you can kill the monster, because if you don't, it's gonna be angry. I'm just a human. I mean, anything can kill me. It might be radiation, it might be, you know, the enemies, might be everything. And I really have to be careful and just go around, just can't go guns blazing. I really love that feel.
You have to be smart about it. You have to take into account every single enemy, even if it's a small rat. It's pretty dangerous. The levels themselves, every single scenario that we finished, we like almost lost. The event deck is the timer, and it usually says this is the last event card that you will see. For me, it's the details. Devil is in the details, right?
So they say.
And this game has a lot of small things that I really enjoyed. For example, one of these things is these mission cassettes, I would call them, because the box size and everything reminds me of the VHS cassettes that you put in and then play. Whenever you start a mission, here you go, this is your box, right? And when you finish the mission, you place almost all of it back and then turn it around to this side. Mission completed, and slide it into the box back. It's so satisfying, such a small detail. The thing about this player board is this. Whenever you get some kind of artifact, right? The first one, you place it here, always carrying it, you will get this radiation. But you always get the radiation from the strongest artifact. And whenever you pick up other ones, you will place them here. You see? It's covered. Such small detail. There's no need for it, but it's super neat. And those small details, I just see them all over the place. That's really cool that they thought about it.
Very good user experience. My second best thing is going to be the mission design. We touched upon it, how the events are the timer. Best part about that thing is thematically makes sense. I'm not gonna tell you about the scenarios, but why the time is running out, it makes sense. Another great thing that I've never seen before are these overlay cards. So these overlay cards are placed on top of the actual board that have an event on them that you can interact with or will happen when you go into that space. This will give this mission and this piece of the board its own identity.
If you will do the same mission again, a lot of these cards will be different. So whenever you turn them around, there's gonna be a different story for you. So it gives a replay value as well. For me, it's just levels as well, because I felt like every level we went to, it's a different game. There's not a lot of levels in the base game, like 6 levels. But because of the reason that there's not that many of them, I feel like they had more time to invest in creating these unique experiences. And you can feel that. Feel like the board is alive, things happen there because it's built that way, how it is. Some might be better and some might be worse of these levels, but it's just unique and interesting.
And you can play those scenarios separately as a one-off, or you can play campaign, what we did. Best thing for me is noise. I really like the noise mechanism here. We did a review of Prototype some time ago, and it has changed. It's way more streamlined now. It's still the closest I've played in a board game to video game with stealth. Throw screws around, will make noise, and then the monsters will go there and react to that. Facing this game matters, and if a monster has a back turn to you, you can like run, you know, behind his back, and it just feels so good, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. Play styles and stealth as well for me. You can play it in different kind of ways and you choose what kind of way you will play. It's a skill. You will see how sensitive to the noise and your movements the monsters are because of these cards, and then you can play around it. I was a sniper. I always tried to be on the other sides of the boards, and I had some situations which felt just epic. I shot a person through a window through the other side of the map. Yeah. Another player that we played with threw a grenade in a group of enemies and they all exploded and it was super great and fun. And then in the same game, what did you do?
Anyway, so those are the best things.
Wait, what did you do?
I lured the bad guy into the room and he fell through the floor.
Ah, yeah, well, right. Tons of different styles to play the game, which I appreciate.
Here's a quick rundown of specifics of system requirements.
Okay, you English-speaking people, help us out. What should we call this chapter? Because we don't know. Because it's game details, game specifics about the game.
System requirements?
Leave down in the comments, what should we call this chapter?
Setup is long. If you play Dungeon Crawls, you know. Monsters there, events there, tiles there. Lots of things to set up.
Components are great. There's lots of them and everything is pristine. Except do not get the terrain pack. Just trust us. It's kind of a nightmare to set up, use them. No.
Player count. You can play with 1 to 4 players, but you should not play with 1 to 4 players. You should play 1 to 2, and I think the best is 2.
Because there's just a lot less to do for 4 players.
Lot less to do.
You just get half or quarter of the fun if you play with 4 players. Rulebook is okay. When first reading it, had 0 questions, thought it's pretty good. But when you need to recheck them in the middle of the scenarios, you can't. It's just so difficult to do that. It's not the worst, it's far from the best.
Complexity, 3 out of 5. There are a lot of itsy bitsy things, these little exceptions, how monsters, when monsters, and why monsters always keep slipping my mind.
So price was $95, I think, somewhere around there. For the Kickstarter, it wasn't just the base game, it was some extras to it. So when it comes to retail, it might be a bit more expensive.
Playtime is around 2 hours per session, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, how much you discuss, how big the setup is, and how long is the story part of the game.
And last thing, interaction. Interaction's through the roof. This is a cooperative game where one person really wants to open something up for the other person, throw some screws in the other direction to help the other person, trade, move, talk about everything.
You will never sit in quiet and wait for your turn. You will always be involved, things will be asked of you, and you will ask things of other players.
Especially with 2 players. Did we mention that it's better with 2 players?
We did, but just in case.
It's better with 2 players.
Luck. They're dice. Any more questions? You roll dice for combat, you roll dice for damage, you roll dice when anomalies trigger or not, you roll dice for some other things. Dice can be nice and they cannot be, so.
I mean, you can shoot with a sniper a rat and not hit it.
Or with the shotgun up close 3 times in a row and not hit it.
So just like rats, let's crawl to the next question, which is why this game might not be for you. For me, it's levels. As I mentioned, we had some levels that were great, perfect, really nice, and they're...
I'm reusing. I'm just reusing. I use this in the best parts, but it also is one of the.
Yeah, because there was one specific scenario that we felt like is very linear, and when you get one of those, it feels like it's fine.
Each scenario has like a story setup, but that one had like weird jumps. Like it had an intro when we kind of got the feeling what we're gonna do, and then the actual scenario starts and we're like somewhere else, and something else has happened. And we're like, wait, what? Did we skip an episode? What happened?
For me, it's one of the highest ones, it's just the story. And I think this comes for the reason we tried out the prototype of the game, and the prototype was a story game.
Yes.
There was quite a lot of text that just gave the background of the situation, when it happens and so on. We got attached to the characters and everything, and this is not a story game anymore. There is flavor texts and stuff like that. Also your previously mentioned mission where it feels like there's missing some parts of the paragraphs and it's not a story game anymore.
I feel like it's more become something like Nemesis. Like there is storytelling, like emerging storytelling through events. Similar here, you will have events and things will happen and you're like, of course it's because that's happening. But there's no overarching massive story that you're like, oh my god, I can't believe this plot twist.
Also, maybe if you play the video game, there will be a lot of references and stuff that will help you get more into the game. For us, a lot of things happen and we're like, yeah, sure.
We haven't played the video game.
He died, I don't care. I just met him once.
All right, mine's gonna be...
Could you leave space for me?
I'm just reusing stuff, saving resources. Right. Nice. Remember I mentioned that it's the best stealth? It is, but it also creates some, wait, how? And is this correct? Should this be like that? Situations. Another thing is that the prototype that we played had a flowchart, and this doesn't. And I bet somebody of all good people will create one on BGG that you can use and will probably make the first few games easier.
And last thing we already mentioned, so I'm gonna place it here, but I would not play this game with 4 players because it feels like I just get to do so little comparing it to a 2-player game. Last game we played was a 2-player game and it was great. I got to do cool stuff each turn and we could cooperate together and it was so important what each of us was doing. And it feels more riskier, it feels a lot more live, that scenario, when you're just alone in that corridor.
It's a better game with 2 or solo. What would you say is a good alternative to this game?
When you try to find out alternatives and you can't imagine one because this does unique things, it's always like, I guess it's higher rating than I thought.
Let's do that. Let's what he said. Let's skip this. There are now good alternatives. 2 reasons for me biggest. First one is the noise. Yeah. There are other games that do that. And the second one is gonna be the overlay cards and the scenario design, which might be good or bad, like we said, but generally it does something I haven't seen before.
My alternative last time for the prototype was Assassin's Creed, the board game, which in a case is similar where you build the board and then you have this mission that you need to fulfill. But the problem was stealth there was a roll of a die. It was just luck. And the second thing, each of those levels, when you looked at them, you could figure them out. Bad guys usually was moving these directions, so you have to solve this puzzle. Well, this does not feel like a puzzle. There are some things you can figure out, alright, that's way safer, most likely we should go that way. But you could easily ignore that and go the other way. As well as the monsters are smarter about everything that they do.
That's because of the noise.
Can you name a game where monsters or bad guys are smarter than here?
It's a tall order.
So yeah, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Menace would be my alternative.
Alternative for me would be Sniper Elite, but it's not a co-op game and it's not a dungeon crawler, but it has the best stealth 1 versus 1. and this is the best co-op stealth. So I love stealth video games. What would you suggest? Stalker and Sniper Elite. Why Assassin's Creed stealth sucks. You know how you resolve stealth there? So you go into the tile and then you roll die. Oh, he saw me. Guess I'm not good at stealth games. Who knew? Do you have any you can suggest? Do you? Do you? And let's move on to the final rating.
And who is this game for? 3, 2, 1.
Here we go. I have 2 ratings. I would probably not suggest to play this ever again with 3 or 4 players, but if somebody would suggest, I would play, and I would say it's an okay game. I would suggest playing this with 2 players, and then I'd say it's a fantastic minus game. Kind of almost fantastic. Like we said, there are no other games that have a really good stealth mechanism. I like the mission design, even though it's a little bit up and down sometimes, but not by much. And I feel that this game is for fans of Stalker. If you play the video game, you're gonna enjoy it. It might be even a must-have for you. And I think this is for people who like dungeon crawlers that do something they've never seen before.
I have really good / fantastic for similar reasons. The setup time takes a bit away. The 3 and 4 player experience takes a bit away. But overall, at least 2-player games feel fantastic. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the level designs. So many cards which we flipped around and we're like, no way it's happening. It's like crazy things. When we had so much fun just seeing those, reacting to those, and just trying to run away. Yeah. The play styles and everything, it's a really intriguing game and I really enjoyed it. So it's really good / fantastic. Yeah, so it's super great moments and I think it's for video gamers. I feel like this really well represents skills, stealth, action, shooting, planning, everything. Feels like tactical shooter with a story that's more driven by mechanisms than words. In that sense, it's really fantastic for me. That's our experience with playing Stalker. bghangover.com, where you can buy super cool t-shirts, and the most important part, it really supports the channel. The money that we get from selling that merch helps us create videos, play more games, and make better content.